Hi, this is SpookyRecapped here, and today I'm going to recap the movie Oculus. The movie starts out with two kids hiding behind a door. They can see a man walking around with a gun. When the man is gone, they run to the front door, but it is locked. They are discovered by the man with the gun. The gun is aimed at the girl, and the scene cuts to Tim, who is telling his psychiatrist about the dream he's having. Tim has been in psychiatric care for a long time, but he is finally being let out again. We then cut to Kaylee, Tim's sister, who is meeting up with her fiancé, Michael, at an art auction. We see an old mirror being auctioned off, and Kaylee is staring intensely at it. When Tim is being released, his sister Kaylee's there, greeting him. They haven't seen each other in a very long time. When they're having lunch together, Kaylee offers Tim to stay with her and her fiancé. Kaylee then mentions that she found the mirror, and Tim starts getting nervous. She reminds Tim of a promise they made as children. They have to find the mirror and kill it. Flashback to 11 years earlier, as their family is moving into a new house. The mirror is carried into their dad, Alan's, office. At night, Alan gets up to get a drink, but as he walks back, he sees a woman in the dark. But when he looks closer, she is gone. Back to the present, Kaylee wakes up next to her fiancé. She gets up and walks to the room where the old mirror hangs on the wall. She walks right in front of the mirror, and when she turns around, her father attacks her. She's in the bed, screaming and shaking, and Michael wakes her up to comfort her. Later on, Kaylee goes to the warehouse where the mirror is stored. She tells the workers that she will be doing the shipping, and they leave her alone with the mirror. We flash back to when they were kids. Tim and Kaylee are playing in the yard. Kaylee runs in front of her dad's window and sees a strange woman caressing her dad. At dinner, she asks him who the woman was, but he says that he was the only one in the office. Back to the present, Tim and Kaylee are carrying the mirror inside of their old house, which Kaylee still owns. They put the mirror down, and Tim notices multiple cameras and a strange contraption in the ceiling. Kaylee gets in front of the camera and starts telling about the victims the mirror has claimed. Tim doesn't believe any of this. Kaylee points the camera to the ceiling, telling that the contraption is a safe mechanism. If she presses a button, the mechanism will fall down, destroying the mirror. We then flash back to Alan's office as he is sitting and typing on his computer. He removes an old band-aid, but when he looks again, it has mysteriously reappeared. He can't seem to get it off, so he grabs a stapler, but accidentally rips his own nail off. Later on, he goes to have a talk with Tim and Kaylee. He shows them a mess in the office and asks them if they are responsible. They both tell him they didn't do it. Back to the present, Kaylee brings a dog in front of the mirror, covering it with a sheet. She believes the mirror needs to feed on souls. Flashback to their old dog, who's barking in front of the office. Their mom, Marie, gets tired of the noise, so she lets the dog into the office. Tim and Kaylee waits outside the office until their dad returns from golf. But when he opens the door, the dog is nowhere to be found. Back in the present, Tim lets the dog out of the cage. He goes out to the living room and opens the door for the dog. Kaylee gets mad at him, but Tim calms her down and tells her that she needs help. Kaylee then agrees and goes back to pack up the equipment. She freezes and tells Tim to come look. When Tim looks, all the cameras has been placed different, and the plans has died. When watching the footage back, Kaylee sees that they apparently did it themselves. They don't remember doing it, and Tim can't believe it's happening. Flashback to Kaylee as a child. She's walking into her dad's office and sees her mom in front of the mirror. Apparently, she has found one of Alan's documents with the name Marisol written all over it. She gets furious and throws an object at the mirror, but misses. The mirror jerks Marie's body, and her reflection is staring right back at her. The reflection opens up her dress, showing the C-section scar. While Marie is banging on the door, Alan comes home. He tries to calm her down, but she attacks him. He overpowers her and chokes her out right on the floor. He picks up his phone and starts calling for an ambulance. The light flickers and a voice whispers in his ear. He puts down his phone and drags Marie away. He goes downstairs and comes back up with a crowbar and chains. Alan gathers Tim and Kaylee. He tells them that their mom is very sick and they cannot disturb her. Back in the present, Kaylee is changing a light bulb while eating an apple. She puts the apple next to the used bulb and changes the light. When she is done, she grabs her apple and takes a bite while walking away. She quickly stops when she discovers that she has taken a bite of the light bulb instead of the apple. She is in shock as she tries removing the shards from her mouth. Tim walks in the room and sees Kaylee struggling. But when she looks again, she has the apple in her hand and there are no shards in her mouth. We flash back to Tim and Kaylee as kids, as they are looking for food in the fridge. They go ask their dad to shop for groceries, and he just says that he'll look into it later. They don't believe him, so they go upstairs and Kaylee enters her mom's bedroom. Kaylee sees blood and broken dishes on the floor. Suddenly, her mom jumps out, but she can't reach her as she's been chained to the wall. This scares Kaylee, so she runs out of the room and closes the door. Kaylee goes to tell her dad about what she saw and tells him to call a doctor, but her dad says not to disturb him anymore. Later, someone knocks on the door and Alan opens up. It is one of his neighbors. Kaylee has told him about her mom and he's worried. Alan convinces him that everything is alright and she's just sick, so he leaves. Later that night, Tim opens up the office door and sees his dad, but the woman with the glowing eyes is there as well. So he gets scared, runs up the stairs, and locks the door behind him. Back in the present, Kaylee discovers pottery shards laying on the ground. She takes out her phone and looks through the camera. The camera shows there's nothing there, it is just the mirror playing tricks on her. When she turns around, her mom appears, so she stabs her in the neck with the shard. A voice says her name, and when Kaylee looks again, it's Michael, her fiancé, she has stabbed. Tim rushes in and sees what she did, but Kaylee tells him that it's just a trick and points the phone at the body to prove it. But she finds out that it was the real Michael, so she breaks down in tears. They both leave the house and Tim calls for help. While waiting, the house lights up. They see themselves inside of the house. Tim tries calling for help again, but the operator tells him that he has to get his father to call. He throws the phone at the ground and destroys it. Flashback to Alan, who is sitting against the mirror. He gets up, finds a gun, and loads it. Tim and Kaylee enters the office and see themselves in front of the mirror. The light flickers and the woman is staring right back at them. When Kaylee looks at Tim, he's the young version of himself. Tim runs away and the woman is now right in front of Kaylee, smiling. Kaylee runs away with Tim. Alan is walking around with his gun. He goes to the bedroom and frees his wife. Tim and Kaylee tries running downstairs, but is stopped by their mom. Kaylee hits her with a golf club, and Tim proceeds to run downstairs. Kaylee runs into another room and jumps out the window to escape her mom. When she is outside, she sees two people with glowing eyes looking at her from the window of the house. Tim sees his dad walking towards him with glowing eyes. Kaylee enters the house again and sees Michael in front of the mirror with the same eyes. She keeps walking, but sees Tim as a child again, asking her to hide. She's now a child again, and her mom attacks her from behind. Her mom pins Kaylee to the ground, strangling her, but she is shot in the back by Alan. He shoots her multiple times, while more ghosts turn up around him. Tim and Kaylee grabs a couple of golf clubs and start smashing the mirror, but they realize they cannot hit it. Alan comes in and aims the gun at Kaylee. Just when he's about to pull the trigger, Tim swings the club at Alan's hand, making him drop the gun. Alan starts strangling Kaylee, and Tim picks up the gun, telling him to let go of her. He lets her go and goes down on his knees. He grabs the trigger of the gun, pulls it, and shoots himself. When he falls back, he makes a small crack in the mirror. Tim and Kaylee backs up against the mirror, and all the ghosts surround them. Suddenly, Tim is back to reality. A young Kaylee sees her mom in the mirror, embracing her in a big hug. Just as they hug each other, Tim pushes a button, making the mechanism fall. To his shock, the real Kaylee was right in front of the mirror, and she is now impaled. She dies right there in front of the mirror, and a flashback is seen of the police discovering Alan's body. Tim gets arrested and is dragged to the police car. The scene changes between him as a child and him now. He screams out loud that it was the mirror who killed her. When the car drives away, he now sees both his parents and Kaylee standing in the window, looking at him with the same glowing eyes. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe for more content like this. And stay spooked, people.